Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Five-Star Feed. I am your ever-loving Uncle Fish. I am the only one of the Five-Star Feed here at the particular moment. We're waiting on the beautiful effervescent feed to show up any minute now on our way home for work. But I am joined by artist extraordinaire Darryl Banks. It is amazing to meet you, sir. So glad to have you on the show. We have had so many interesting people come on that are going to be at Fivestar Comic Con coming up soon, June 20th and 21st in Dayton, Ohio. But I got to admit, you're one of the guys that I'm really excited about getting to see personally. I was a little bit old for the Power Rangers, so I'm not as excited about some of them as some of the other guys are. Been real interesting guys to meet. But you, I'm interested in meeting. So, for those who have been living under a rock, tell them a little bit about yourself and some of the awesome projects that you've worked on.
Well, my name's Darryl Banks. I'm an illustrator from Columbus, Ohio. I've been doing comics for about 37 years. Doesn't feel like it's been that long.
It goes by
I'm
quick.
also a commercial illustrator. I started out in with comics in the with indie comics for about half a decade before getting a chance to do work for DC Comics and shortly thereafter, a little Marvel stuff, but mainly I'm known for my work at DC Comics, particularly Green Lantern.
Hmm. Yeah, and one of my personal favorite Green Lanterns and my son's all-time favorite. My son is a huge Kyle Rayner fan. He freaking loves him. And it came out at the perfect time for me as a young artist and to have this character that was an artist and all that and wanted to take a new look on things. Oh man, that was so exciting for me as a young reader. But I got to say, some of the stuff I'm really interested in is like your start in the beginning in indie comics because I'm one of the few people I've met who never really had any goals of going beyond indie comics. Because indies is where all the weird stuff happens, and I
Mhm.
dig that. I dig the weird, unusual, like where you get Ninja Turtles and radioactive black belt hamsters and Judge Dredd and all these things. I like that. That's what I want
Mhm.
to do and tell my own stuff. There's lots of people who want to draw Spider-Man, so I'll let them do that. But man, you got tell us how you got started in indie comics. What some of your first gigs were doing that, because that's what I find really interesting.
I well, it's not like I said to myself, I want to start in the Indies. They were the only ones that would hire me.
Hmm.
After I graduated from college, my goal was, oh, okay, I've got my degree. I want to march into Marvel and draw the Avengers. Well, that did not happen. So, um, back in the 80s, yeah, yeah, the 80s, if it was a convention, and it didn't have to be a large convention, Marvel, DC, other companies would have, booths set up and you could show them your artwork. It's almost hard to picture. I mean, whether it doesn't have, and I don't mean something huge like San Diego. I mean, shows even smaller than some of the tiny little Holiday Inn shows I remember doing back in the day. They would be there. I mean,
Hmm.
it was arranged, so it was all about showing my work and getting some feedback and just getting torn to shreds and uh, getting heartbroken. But after a while, I encountered a company uh, uh, that was that had some. I guess you could say they were willing to take a chance on some up and comers. They felt, and it was called Innovation.
Hmm.
And I worked on actually a couple things, and I had no idea that I was way too slow to even be approaching this comic thing, but I just knew I wanted to do it. So it's almost like after I finished college, I went to school again, as far as learning how comics had to be done and what I needed to improve upon, even as on the job training. One of the first books, my first published work was a book called Cyberpunk, kind of loosely based on the William Gibson concepts. Um, and it was a it was a painted book. It was supposed to be watercolor. I wasn't that good at watercolor, so it ended up being mixed media. It had some watercolor in it, and
See that? Oh, I'm so jealous. That's something I've always wanted to do, but the time, as you know, the time involved in that has what's always stopped me from doing it on one of my own books. But
mhm.
Man, what was it like getting your start on that? What was that like being the first job that you're working on, being a painted book like that?
It was what they had available, and I thought, yeah, I can do that in my mind. And go, yeah, but how? So it was. Oh, it was tough, but it got done. And I just remember when I got the copies of my first book. I want to say that we met up at a convention in Illinois, the old Chicago Con in Rosemont, Illinois, and they had some copies for me. And I remember walking down the hallway with it like a newborn. It was like, this is it. I'm finally I'm a 100% professional now. Here's my first book, and yeah, it was a great feeling, and it's kind of like, all right, well, what's next? Because I left my job at Marshall's to do this full time, so they had some other things for me to do, but not full color. I was just a penciler on a property that's been around for a long time called Justice Machine. Uh, so yeah, I worked on Justice Machine and a few other things for them here and there. Um,
That is one book I'm always looking for at cons to
really,
try and find. I like obscure things, for one, like the Human Fly is one of my favorite Marvel characters.
okay.
And I will search through boxes trying to find the few copies I don't have left of that. And Justice Machine, for actually, because it made me so mad when I first stumbled across it in a back issue box, because I had been working on my own character called Justice Machine. And then when I saw this name, I was like, curses! How could somebody take such an easy name to put together that I
Yeah.
put together? And so I started getting it out of spite, and now it's one of the things that I'm always looking for when I'm at shows. Oh, I heard a familiar bloop of Fee being in the background. Welcome,
Well,
Hi.
Fee.
hello.
How are you? I'm so glad I made me.
How are you doing? You're not in
Good.
costume.
I know. I know.
Your
It's
civilian
that must.
identity. Shh, I'm not supposed to give away your secret
I
identity.
don't have
Now
I don't have a
everybody
secret
knows.
identity. I don't think Vigilance doesn't have a secret identity. So I'm just like, oh yeah, it's like for some people, like, oh, you're not in costume. It's like, yeah, this must be really weird for you. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
It's an all white costume. I mean, you got to get out of it to like eat anything
Right,
messy
right.
or like,
I
do
have a
your
lot of
average
funny
everyday life.
stories. I've told Mike, I said, can she have one where she has like a day where it was just rough and she had it handed to her and she goes into this fine restaurant. She's like, I'm just going to have the chef special. She just sits down and they go to like leave a bottle of wine. She's like, just leave it there. It's like, and just has like a meal in quiet after like a full day because we were in
Mhm.
this restaurant in Philadelphia and it was this like really nice Chinese restaurant. And I'm sitting here like in full Vigilance suit and I'm like, yes, I'll like the general sauce, please. And I was just like, everyone else is looking around like, what in the world is going on? I didn't change or I didn't have a chance to change for some reason. And it's such a funny story. So I always tell Mike those little things, like those little day to day outfits and stuff. But
Yeah,
Mhm.
just I mean, like she's got to pick up food somewhere along the way. She's got to
right,
eat. She's
you know,
got a life to live. Like seeing some of that stuff would be fun.
or like her in her like regular get up or civilian clothes, ask someone like, I was reading on, is this good? Like in the grocery store, like, what do you think of
Mhm.
this? Is this good? What do you think? I don't know. I'm having second thoughts. Is this something I should buy or, you know, ask an associate.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were talking
Sorry.
about work on Justice Machine, one of the indie comics that he started on
Woo woo.
back in the day. Um, so from there, from working on Justice Machine, where do we go from there?
Mm.
Justice Machine continued, but at another company. The writer I was working with, Mark Ellis, he had plans on forming his own company. And since Justice Machine was a licensed property at the previous company, he got the rights to it for his company. So I kept
Mm.
doing Justice Machine just somewhere else. And from there, and Mark Ellis is not just a creative writer; he's an idea machine, idea machine, justice machine. And so, with he and his wife and his daughter, they had so many good ideas on how to get licensed property for their up and coming company. I mean, they had uh, Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. They had the Terror from Space, Wild Wild West, Doc Savage,
Mm.
Man of Bronze. Those last two, I actually did work on. And
Hmm.
I mentioned before how it was like being in school. Um, it's exactly what it felt like. I mean, especially when dealing with the Wild Wild West based on an old TV show, I'd had to
Yeah.
deal with likenesses and the Old West, design aesthetic and all that, which,
And
I
it's
can't
not
draw any of
just
that out
Old
of my
West
head. Yeah.
design, like it's that leisure suit kind of Old West design that they had, which I always thought was so funny. I was like, why are these cowboys' pants so tight and stretchy? But
For
it
ratings, I
worked
guess.
in the show.
I mean, when you think about it, there are those that say that they invented steampunk, and it's kind of like,
Oh
did
yeah.
it? It's kind of, I can't think of that being around before the show. I mean, you look at the how they had their version of science fiction technology. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of steampunk when you think about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely the seeds it grew from. I guarantee you, man. I loved the show. I absolutely loved it. It again spurred my imagination. I love that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So all right, so that's where you're honing your edge, learning your craft, getting better
Mhm.
at what you're doing, figuring out how this whole thing works. That's the thing that I think most people don't take into consideration. Lots of people like to draw, lots of people like to draw superheroes,
Yeah.
and it's fun and they'll spend a week drawing a really cool pinup or something and
Yeah.
think, yeah, I want to draw comics. But drawing comics is a whole different animal.
Different ball
And
game.
I always joke with people, you got to be kind of broken in a very particular way to enjoy the just incessant grind that it takes to get books out on time and knock out work, just book after book after book, page after page, drawing the same character over and over and over and over again. It's not as much fun as drawing a pinup or a cover. I see why a lot of people just do that now,
Yeah.
and I'm like, if I
The
was a
only thing
smart
is,
man, I'd just do that.
if to me, if you don't have a sense of storytelling, I mean, there's so many cover artists out there.
Hmm.
It to me, I like, for example, I recently did a cover for Boom Studios, um, and it was sort of like, yeah, I can do covers, but they know that if needed, they could call on me to do some interiors.
Mm.
You really need to be well rounded, and
Hmm.
I just can't imagine how you could do comics full time, and not be. I mean,
Mhm.
there are those that maybe it's a hobby to them or something like that. For me, it's not. Um,
Right.
I and there should be a curiosity to want to tell stories.
Mhm.
Um, I think it helps that as a kid, I really like to come up with my own characters. And
Mhm.
they tend to be superheroes, that sort of thing. But I think it's in everybody. You've got a story you want to tell. So learning and putting the tools together to be able to do that, especially if you want to do it professionally, you kind of want to learn these things.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think I remember when Chris Claremont, when I asked him, I was like, when it came to writing stories, he was like, I would get my head examined. I would get your head examined. That was the advice he told me.
Chris
And he
Chris
just
is
said
a
it with a
he's a
straight face.
he's a different guy.
Oh my gosh. But, just thinking of that, like being well rounded and being prepared, just because you never know exactly just like how with comics, how different it is. I've heard and I know many times of you being a mentor to many, and of course of the people that I know and I cosplay for. What would be the best advice you received and the advice that you give to those who look up to you as a mentor?
The advice that I got is different than the advice that I would give. I mean, I think most of the advice I got was based on the questions I asked, but then
Mm-hmm.
looking back, I think
Oh,
a
that's
lot of the
deep.
questions I asked were not the question. I don't know. I don't want to get super deep with it, but I wasn't asking the right questions. I think
Yeah.
about having done this so long, and when I used to teach and things of that nature, I think about what did I really need to know. And so
Mm.
often I just made it technical skills. And really it's not the technical skills, it's the artists themselves. And I
Mm.
would tell, because people show me their portfolios at conventions all the time. And they
Mm-hmm.
want advice. And I said, you're already most likely aware you need to work on this. Let's say you need to work on perspective, you need to work on storytelling, work on
Mm-hmm.
uh, this technique and that technique. You have that already. The number one thing I tell people, tell artists about their work and writers as well is to learn this one underrated skill.
Hmm.
Relax. Relax. It sounds overly simplified, but think of it this way. With the
Hmm.
advent of social media, there's so
Mhm.
much anxiety, and chances are, if you want to pursue it professionally, you're strung out and stressed out
You
Mhm.
already a
more than
little
you
off.
probably should be. And so
You're
I would
already a
say
Exactly.
little off.
learn to remember why you love this.
Hmm.
If you love this. Now if you don't, you might want to just keep it as a hobby. But if you want to
This
do it
ain't working if you
professionally,
don't really love it.
chances
I
are
agree.
you just need to kick back and relax and remind yourself,
Yeah.
I love to do this. If this is what I want to do, until
Tiring.
I retire, I've got to learn to enjoy this journey. It's not always
That's
about
right.
the final
It's not the
product, the
destination,
final
it's the
book.
journey.
Right, because
Nice.
my stepson is big into physical fitness. His arms are literally bigger than my legs. And he just enjoys, I mean, he has a job that he really enjoys, but he
Mm.
really enjoys physical fitness. It's not so much he has goals, it's more he enjoys the
What
process
it
of it,
does for him.
what
Yeah.
it does for him,
Hmm.
just the
Hmm.
journey itself.
That's
So
good
with
though.
me, it's like drawing is something that if I couldn't draw, that would really bother me. And,
Mm.
I love to be able to express myself, whether it's digitally or with traditional media. So I would tell
Hmm.
people, I said, as you're on this journey to get to your goal, think about enjoying the path you're on, and learn to relax and not be so stressed out about it. And that's hard to do because they're probably seeing other artists on Instagram or whatever going, oh man, my stuff really
FOMO and
sucks. Look at this artist over there. Look at that artist over there.
Oh
Don't worry
man,
about what they're doing. It's like
right.
look at
your
what they're
journey is
doing.
your
Look at what
journey.
project they're
That's right.
getting to work on. Look at
That's so true
this,
though.
that, or the other.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall into, like, when I see friends of mine that are working on something cool, like say
Mhm.
Thundercats or something. I was like, oh man, I love the Thundercats. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome. But also, they're swimming in pools with a lot of other headaches that I don't want to swim in. I like telling my own stories. That's what I like
Yeah.
Hmm.
doing.
Hmm.
And ultimately, like, I keep saying all the time to people, I pay my mortgage drawing muscle men in their underwear beating each other up. Like, there's nothing more silly and
What?
fun than that. I spend my whole day
Put an
spitting
image.
out sound effects and making faces while I'm
Mhm.
drawing and just having a ball. I love my work. I was
Hmm.
talking to a guy today, and he
Mm.
was asking me if I'd do a logo design for him. And I was like, I could, but I don't want to. I could go back to doing logos and graphic design full time
Right.
and
Hmm.
make per hour what I make per day, sometimes doing comics.
Yep.
Right.
But I love storytelling. And I'm
Yeah.
always getting to work with professionals that know what they want and know how to ask
Mhm.
for revisions and things and can give me a good script, and I can put out something awesome and they love it at the end of the day. And I love my job, and that happiness is worth a lot. So
It
I'm willing
is.
to put in longer hours for a job I love. But, also, I don't blame anybody that does it for the money. Get your back.
I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, of course, to your point, Daryl, where you said it's so funny to say Daryl because I have an uncle Daryl, so I feel like I need to say something in front of that. So I just have to make sure I'm very careful. It's so funny because when you said like depending on what you were asking, so you were asking more technical questions. Were there any questions you asked then that you would think back or which you said is it still that message to relax if you said to like younger Daryl when you were first starting out and you were just trying to really hit the ground running and figure out where you were in all of this.
Especially the younger version of me, because I mean, I comics weren't just entertainment for me. I mean, when I was young, when I was in high school, my parents were divorced, and so comics was a real escape for me. And
Mm.
so it wasn't until I graduated high school and almost finished with college before I decided comics was the type of art that I wanted to do specifically. Obviously, I wanted to
Gotcha.
get into art, but I thought I was just going to end up doing just commercial art and that was it. But I thought I'm
Mhm.
capable of doing it, but I didn't love it. It's just something I could do. I said, well, what do I love to do? And I was really inspired by my father because he had a decent job, but he worked at a steel mill and he hated it. It was
Mm.
decent money, but he hated it. I thought,
Mm.
I can't live that way. What do I
Ooh.
love to do? I said, I'd love to do comics, but I don't know if comic would love me. So,
Wow,
it
yeah.
was that I had to figure out how can I do this and how could I
God
find my
always will be
place where I
back.
can, continue it.
I mean, that's so good because, like, I know Jim Carrey said that in the same way, kind of like his father. In that same way, his father was very funny and everything, and he did a job, and it didn't. He wanted to provide for his family, and so it was like you can do what you love and fail at it, but you can also do what you don't love and still fail at it. So you might as well
Hmm.
do what you love because
Right.
you're going to continue to refine it and get better at it. So it is like making that choice of like, okay, this is what I really love, this is what I want to do, but it's like figuring that way to keep going with it. And that is really cool. And it's so funny. I saw Eddie. I do agree. Daryl does have a great radio voice. Honestly, you should definitely do something like an audio book. I would go to sleep listening to about how to draw comics or something. That needs to be like a sleep edition or something. Like I don't know. Like
True story. I used to work when I worked at Wendy's when I was in college. I
yeah.
used to do the drive-through, and I would get this all the time. People would pull up. Where's the guy that took my order? It was me. Oh, I'm like, well, how should I take that? I'm like, no, it's the same guy. Why would we have two different people
Why would I be
handling that?
different?
Um,
That's funny.
oh, that's funny.
I
That's
like that. That's good. It's like such a funny thought. Just the next time I go to a drive-thru, just to think of like, what image in your mind do you think when you hear the voice of what they look like, and to say, and but then also to respond to them, like you're supposed to keep that to yourself, not the, oh,
I mean, yeah, that was, of course. Oh man, I working at Wendy's and still in the back of my mind, one day I'm going to be doing comics. Don't know when that's going to be, but right now, here's your order, ma'am. Here's your order.
yeah.
You know,
Boy, man, you got me all in my head now, though, thinking about like what questions I should have been asking.
yeah, that's good
Because
though.
I know I was looking at things the wrong way. Like I was convinced I just needed to come up with like a better way to word my letter or a better way
Mm,
to like address my work to the editors to get it across, and not realizing that really a whole lot of it's about like friendships and the people that you know
yeah.
and connections that you make, and being helpful with people and stuff, and being the type of guy
Mm,
people want to work with, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. Like, instead I was like trying to figure out the math of like, I just got to get this letter
understand.
right and people are going to see my work and know that it's amazing, or quit taking things I say the wrong way. I was always getting negative response on how quickly I told them I worked, and they'd say, well, the pages are great, but there's no way you did them that fast, and you shouldn't be trying to work that fast because that's just
Oh,
wrong. And I was like,
wow.
but you said you like the pages, so what's wrong with the page?
Like,
It just so happens I go very fast. My brain's jacked up. Anyway,
But see,
yeah.
don't regret about not asking certain questions earlier on. I think about
Mm,
NASA, even especially at the first moonshot. Even
mm-hmm.
though the moon is huge, you figure it's just a straight line from Earth to the moon. No, it was like
Yeah.
mm-mm.
it's course
Gravitational pull,
corrections.
and there was whole fuel and calculations
Yeah,
and
so it's
numbers.
like there's, your journey was your mid-course
Oh,
correction after mid-course correction to get to where
That's
you're
true.
going. So,
I've worked in almost every field of like production type art you can do
Mm,
in like Arkansas, and I've done everything from murals to uh, splash window splashes to like production work in screen printing and T-shirts and signs and all kinds of things, which
yeah.
has ended up being a real benefit now that I have finally moved into comics, because I understand the printing side, I understand collating and sheet counts and all of these things, that makes it a lot
Yeah.
easier for me. And some of the stuff that like the indie printers are constantly beating their head against the wall, like, why don't the clients understand this? I'm like, and I hand them a file and they're like, oh my god, it's all like done right and it's the right color scheme and everything is like got bleed trim set up correctly. And like, well, yeah, you had your stats laid out on the website, all I had to do was follow the instructions.
Yeah.
But years of working in the business have taught me this stuff that a lot of
Yeah.
writers don't know. They don't know the difference between RGB and CMYK, much less page count and trims, and cut size and DPIs and all of that stuff.
It is funny how you do continue to build as you go over time, and you don't realize until you're like, wow, I guess I have been in this for a minute, or like, oh, I do know this really well. It's just staying and refining. Sorry, Deadpool. Staying and refining, staying and refining to it, and continually fine tuning. Because even I remember when I first started, it's crazy. Daryl, can you believe I've been cosplaying this character for 8 years this year, and
Wow.
learning from all of you. I remember when I first met you years ago, and just like all the work and seeing how you all progress and seeing how like the art has changed and see how it continually goes, even from my point of view. Because I mean, I'm not going to be showing you my portfolio or anything, Daryl, because it's like I used to draw years ago. Okay, I used to have that one with like the Marvel draw of like superheroes because my dad got me into it. But I'm not showing you no portfolio. Long story
Okay.
short, but
Now I want to see Fee's portfolio.
listen,
See,
I used
you brought
I
it
used
up.
to have
Now you
books and
see.
stuff, but maybe another day. But it's just like it's incredible to see how that refining process goes. And then when you realize, like, even when I talk to cosplayers and ones who make their own stuff, like I have a sewing machine under here, but it's like you think of the technical questions, but it's just like learning and just going as you go, and the relationships that really make the difference. Because
Mhm.
it's just like those are what really help add to the craft of what you do. Once you kind of hone in on what you're good at, and then you kind of get inspired and you have the people around you to kind of fuel you and keep you going, and then it's like you feed off of that energy. It's really inspiring. So I guess the question I would want to ask you is like, what fuels you other than like loving to draw? And then of course the people around you, who do you look to? Who keeps you going so you're not going into any type of stagnant area?
Well, stagnation happens. That's just that just comes with just goes with the territory. I mean, one thing that motivates me is I have an amazing family. And I think
Mhm.
about uh, the role my family plays in me as a person. My
Mhm.
faith in God, my
Mhm.
wanting to be a professional. Because one thing I've discovered, no matter who you are,
Mhm.
somebody somewhere is watching your progress. I
Mhm.
100%.
think, I mean, I've talked to people of
100%.
all walks of life, and they some realize it, most don't.
Yeah,
Even when you're going through your toughest times of what you're doing, somebody somewhere is paying attention to how
that's
you're
right.
handling it.
That's good.
Everybody is inspiring somebody.
That's
It,
right.
you're probably thinking, I think I know who it is. No, you don't.
No, you
Oh
It
don't.
could be a
man.
complete stranger. I've had, I mean, I just came from a convention in Motor City Comic Con in Michigan, and
Yeah.
I get the stories of how my career inspired them or whatever, and I'm thinking,
Mhm.
what a coincidence, because I've said the same thing about the artists and the people that I admire. So
Mhm.
everybody, what's the expression? Each one teach one.
That's
Keep in
right.
mind that when you feel like quitting, don't, because
Exactly.
somebody,
It's
maybe it's
watching.
somebody you do know, but in most cases, it's someone you don't even know is counting on you sticking with it,
I will
counting on
say
you
this.
Somebody
sticking with
looks
it.
up to you and wants to be
That's
just
true.
like you
Yeah.
and would give everything for what you got, for what you're complaining about right now.
Yeah.
So, like, appreciate it and set a good example. That was a life changing bit of knowledge for me. And once I got
Mhm.
a hold of that and realized the consequences of setting a bad example so far, and, that's part of why I'm as nice a guy as I am right now, because I realize the importance of that and the value, and I've gotten to see it pay
Mm.
off so many times in so many different ways in so many people's lives.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I would say Hamilton did that too, because the song History Has Its Eyes on You. It's like, it's so true, where it's like, we have no control on who lives, who dies, who tells your story. And like
Hmm.
you're saying, it's just like, you don't know who that person is who could be watching you. And I know that's one of my favorite things to say, Kyra. And when I admire, when I give someone a compliment, I'm like, when I grow up, because we're constantly growing up. When are we
Me
not
too.
stopping growing up? So I always say when I grow up, meaning like I strive to continue to strive and continue to improve and go for those things. But history has its eyes on you. And I remember that because I was
Yes.
like, that song and seeing the play live, like it's just so compelling because it is true. How do you want to tell your story? And even the parts of the story that you don't get to tell, how does someone see that? And do they carry that forward in their own story? So it was just like
Right.
cool things like that.
Yeah, the thing that really got through to me on that was this this father that was giving us kids this advice. One of the
Mhm.
things that he mentioned was like even the things you do in secret have positive or negative effects on the people that are watching you. And like if you're lying and cheating and backstabbing to get where you want to be, and but then you're putting up this front of how well you did it, or in today's standards, like you're putting on this front online of how well things are going for you, but you're struggling to keep the bills paid in the background. Somebody is following along behind you, looking at that example you're setting, and wants to be just like you, and is following the example that you're pretending to set, and they're not going to be able to get to the same place, or they're not going to be able to get there without doing the things that you had to do to get there that you tried to hide. And
Mm-hmm.
that, man, that ate at me with a feeling of like righteous responsibility that
Good alliteration.
I gotta
here.
be straight about what I'm doing and be honest with people about how I got there, and and what I did. And
Takes a whole nother level of R
yeah,
and R. Righteous responsibility. That's gonna stick with me.
With great power, there's great
There it is.
responsibility.
yeah.
I like that you did that on
It's
purpose.
almost like those are poignant words that just keep going up.
I was like, I thought you did that on purpose. You're like, wait, it's like Uncle Ben. No, that's
So
cool.
I'm curious. Okay, what was the thing that got you from like the world of doing indie comics for years into doing working at the big guys? Was it a relationship? Was it happenstance? Was it a friend you knew that had moved up and said, hey, I want to work with him? Was it a new connection? What was the thing that caused that change for you?
For me personally, I remember uh, I- I'm a Christian, so I pattern my life based on the Word of God. And so there was a scripture that said, "When you see a man that's diligent in his business, he'll stand before kings and not obscure men." So I thought, even though I'm enjoying my time in the independence, I'm like I had goals for something bigger, and I thought again, it's not just something that I felt like I deserved. It's just something that I can picture it. I could see it.
Yeah,
You know how someone would say, "Oh, I can't see that." Well, you got to see it.
that's
And
right.
so, um, you've heard the expression "overnight sensation."
Yeah.
Okay, I was the opposite of that.
Most
um,
overnight sensations are.
um, I was the opposite. I felt like it took me so much longer, but because of that, when I was teaching, I taught at the college I graduated from. I could
Mm-hmm.
share that with my students who were feeling discouraged.
Yeah,
Um, I remember,
that's
back when I
powerful.
was trying to break into comics, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Marvel, DC, they would send you rejection letters. So
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
had a stack of rejection letters like
yeah,
the old phone book. I
yeah.
wish I'd kept them because a lot of people probably think I'm
Oh man.
exaggerating. I'm like, oh, it's not an
God, I wish I
exaggeration.
still had those.
Yeah.
I lost them in the
Honestly,
movie.
So
the rejection theory is good to keep those. It's just like you're one step closer to your yes. So it's like when you
Mhm.
think of all of the no's in comparison to all the things that you got and all the yeses that you've gotten,
yes,
it kind of puts things in perspective. So I can only imagine when you were teaching your students and encouraging
I
them.
had lots and lots of no's. After a while, I got a little notebook that I could put in my pocket and
Wow.
jot down what the editors and writers really didn't like about my work. Now, I would show my
Mm,
work to artists, but I discovered after a while, after too long, really, the best
mm,
critiques you'll ever get, if you're especially if you're an up and coming artist, you need to show your work to writers and editors because they're
mm.
more likely to have something to do with you getting hired. Now,
That's a good
I
point.
get why anyone would want to show their work to an artist because they're thinking I want to be an artist. This artist over here is actually
Right,
doing what I want to
right.
do, so I need to learn from them. That makes sense. But what I'm thinking, what made things really surge for me is
Hmm.
getting feedback from people who could actually hire me.
Yeah, the business
I was at a
standpoint
show
behind it.
in
Yeah.
Akron, Ohio, and there
Mhm.
was a husband and wife writing team that was working for DC Comics on Legion of Superheroes. And you
Mm.
talk about it. They saw me coming, like here he comes again, showing more work and bending our ear or whatever. And so my first work with DC was with them. I thought that they were instrumental in getting me hired. They were like, no, we're writers, we don't hire. It was God's will that I start working with them. So my first
Wow.
work with making that transition from the indies to DC was at that point.
Yeah.
But again, it was a whole lot of no's before I got that yes. And it was one of those things where I got to the point where I could see it. I had to stop thinking, this is never going to work. I had plenty of reason to believe that. I mean, all the rejection letters and all the, no, you don't do this, you don't do that. But I could see myself doing it. I
That's the
could see it.
powerful
I was
part.
going to be diligent in
That's
my
powerful.
business. I'm like, so it's just funny that now that I've been doing this for a while, um, it looked like it was never going to happen. So that's
Mm,
why I would tell people, when it gets difficult, that's why it's important to relax, because you're going to want to feel stressed out, but you got to be able to see yourself. How would you feel if you actually achieved the goals that you were setting for yourself? Wouldn't that feel great? Keep
yeah,
that feeling in your heart as you're continuing on your path.
Oh
that's
yeah.
so good. Look at that. Wow. The gems here. It's like turning to a masterclass. The Darryl Banks masterclass. I love it. This is great.
I'm just telling things how it
No,
happens.
but
That's just
it's
how it
true because it's
happens.
like, you hold on to something, you hold on, you hold on, you actually risk losing that very thing. You let go because you've done everything that you can do. It'll naturally just come back to you. Or even it's that way where it's just like, if you're constantly just consistent and you come back and you come back, and just like you said, here he comes again. One thing you can expect and know is that you're consistent. You're going to show up and you're going to be able to have that tenacity that, when things get rough, that people who might just turn away, you're not. So it's like your every no, it's like you should take it as encouragement to know that you're one step closer to a yes. Okay, that was a no, that's fine. But I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep have this tenacious spirit. I'm going to get a yes because I see it for myself. So it's inevitable. I'm going to get a yes.
Now,
Mhm.
I don't want to imply that I was never discouraged and that it wasn't
No,
heartbreaking, that I felt like,
Oh,
oh, no matter what, I'm going to stick with it.
you're
No, there
human.
were times
You're
I'm thinking,
human.
forget this.
Yeah.
it's
What
the
else can I
sample you
do?
send off every time you hand your work over. You're like, okay, I nailed it this time. And
Yeah.
then you get those rejections like, dang it,
You're
man,
like you're
I
like a puppy
had it.
who
I
got
knew
kicked.
I
It's
had
like,
it.
oh, this is awful.
Oh, man. Oh,
I get
package
it.
after package, month after month, man. I was sending out like 90 packages a month at one time to every editor I found on any comic book anywhere. And that was a whole lot of no's. That was a whole lot of no's.
I mean,
But see, it was
why
worth it.
not?
It was worth
Oh
it.
yeah. It
Yeah.
teaches you, it builds up that tough skin that I needed at the
Yeah.
time, because also partly, that young and that new to like making a living as an artist, even though it was
What a
Uh-oh.
suspense. That's crazy. What a
I wanted to hear that
cliffhanger.
story.
Me too. What do you think he was gonna say? What do you think? It's because
Well,
he
we'll
really
find out.
left
He'll come right
emphasis.
back. Here he
yeah,
is.
my whole
So
thing just disappeared on me. I
You
apologize.
had us on
that's
a
fine.
cliffhanger. I hope you remembered
All right.
exactly where
So
you
as you
left
were
off.
saying,
As I was saying, I don't know. That completely flustered me. What was I saying now?
No, you were
God.
talking about how like you had those journey. You send out 90 to every like editor and how
Oh,
that
yeah.
God.
At the time, I still had that every piece I do is a piece of my soul kind of mentality. And it's all this precious thing, this beautiful thing that I'm putting out there. And how dare you say there's anything wrong with the proportions or the line weight, or I put too many little cross hatching lines on the face and people don't have those lines on their face. How dare you tell me that? Because, I still had that pride in it, and I hadn't got humbled yet, and I hadn't
okay.
learned. This is a job. I'm putting out a product. I would much rather do this for a living than dig ditches. I could also be building houses or making cabinetry or other things I know how to do, but I like doing this a whole lot more. And
Hmm.
I get to use
Yeah,
all of my imagination and storytelling for this.
yeah.
So like getting to let go of the how important I am in the process and just this
Mm,
is something I get to do. I want to make the client happy. That was a big change. I had a lot to learn there, that like working in production art helped grind off all those rough edges for a few years. But like you were saying, also kind of to me, it's a God thing. Like you can't be
mhm.
put in a position until you're ready to be there and actually do the job.
True.
And you're seasoned and you're ready for that. Like you can plant a field, but I can't just run out as soon as the first sprouts come up out of the ground and start harvesting
Right.
apples. Those trees are far from being ready to produce
Yeah.
apples. It's going to be years attending to this orchard before
Yeah.
they're anywhere near to produce fruit. and I can't just go out yanking them out of the ground and say, okay, well, it's time. I'm ready. I
Right.
want to do it now. You don't get nothing from that.
Isn't there like a saying where it says like humans like we plan and like God laughs because it's like it's just basically like I have this plan, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and it like never ever goes to the plan of which you had, but you always end up exactly like where you need it to be. So you're like, you think about this, and this is what makes all the stories so interesting, and how like we can just have fun with storytelling, because you're like, actually, I originally thought I was going to be over here, but somehow I met this person, and this took me here, and I didn't even know I was going to know about that. I didn't even know that was a thing, and then I came back to this, and then I ended up doing what I love, and it's like, wait, what? And like you're trying to like keep the notes, like, wait, how did you do that?
Little Kyron Silva, California says, Darryl, outside of comics, what is your favorite project you've worked on?
That's a good question, Kyron.
Outside of comics, like something not comic related.
Hated them all.
No. Well, some yes, but probably my work with toy related stuff. I've done toy design for Mattel and Hasbro and other
Nice.
companies, and because I'm a toy collector, I mean, I just got this Hellboy action figure today, a couple hours ago. I love toys, so I would say
Right.
probably my work in the toy industry is probably outside of comics, my favorite thing that I've done.
What I'm curious of is like, what was the ultimate dream in comics for little Darryl when he was dreaming of working in comics one day? What did you want to do? Like, what was the property or the idea that you really wanted to do?
The Avengers, Earth's
The
Mightiest
Avengers.
Heroes. That was, and it wasn't as a kid. I never, I didn't think I could. That was something that you could do. I figured you'd have to live in New York or something like that. So I just enjoyed it. But I was probably senior year in college before I realized I want to really pursue comics. I have no idea how. But I got into the industry with the thought in mind I was going to draw the Avengers, and I did get an opportunity to do it, but I was doing something else and I had to turn it down. It was I had a chance to do a fill-in for Avengers while I was during my time on Justice League, and I thought I could jeopardize my work on Justice League to get the one shot at one fill-in at Avengers. And I turned it down. I thought, well, once I'm finished with Justice League, I can come back to the Avengers. I didn't get any follow-up emails with Marvel after that, so I'm like, okay,
Wow.
my career's not over, so it's not like it still can't happen, but Avengers was that was the impetus. That was what I wanted.
Wow.
Well, here's hoping that's going to be on my prayer list for you, that you get to do that one day.
Right.
That's interesting. I would love to get to. That would be something fun to work on. Like, I wouldn't turn it down if somebody wanted me to do something, but like I said, there's so many cool stories that I want to tell that I like doing this. And, even if it's only going to be read by 500 people, that brings me a lot of joy that I get to pay my mortgage writing stories that few people read. It's a lot of fun. I dig it.
That's a good point. I mean,
think about it. You said something small that just a few people read. You never know. Things could take off. I remember I once held Ninja Turtles #1 in my hand, and I put it back. I put it back on the rack. I was at a comic shop, and a friend of mine was always telling me, "Oh, you're all about Marvel comics. You need to give some indie comics a chance." And I'm like what? And I was like this. Like, look at this. The samurai turtle. What is it? I was making fun of it. And I put it back like, oh, who's laughing now? I'm like, reason why I would love to have a time machine. I'd go back and instead of making fun of it, yeah, I think I will give this a read and hang on to this Ninja Turtles #1 instead of ridiculing it.
That spurred my imagination, and I still, like, every time I see like Kevin Eastman at a con, I want to ask him if he remembers the letter. But me and my buddy, like, we saw there was a new publisher that wasn't Marvel or DC, and hadn't already told us that we sucked and we're kids and we can't do this yet. And so we sent letters and some drawings of our completely not a ripoff Samurai Schnauzer comic book to this new publisher, Mirage, and told them, the Ninja Turtles are awesome, but the artists that you have working on it really suck, and you need to hire us because
Oh,
we're
well.
better and we'll do a better job. But if you don't, you should hire us to do our completely original Samurai Schnauzer comic strip that we did. Absolutely no idea that there was only 2 guys working at Mirage Studios when we sent that letter. But I mean, we were in junior high; we didn't know any better. But I still wonder, like, yeah, they probably got a lot of letters like that. But I just
love that.
cringe at the audacity that we have in junior high.
Bring writing letters back. I mean, I just think that is just
Oh,
like so
man.
cool, like the letters in which you give, and especially when you get one back. Oh my gosh, how cool!
Even if it's a form letter saying you suck and it goes on the stack of
Frame
other
it.
letters from Marvel and DC saying that you suck.
Frame it.
My rejection letters from Marvel and DC, they kind of sounded very similar. It was, a lot of it was, your samples are interesting. And it's like saying, like, like you're trying to ask someone out, like, oh, you have a nice personality. It's like, my samples were interesting. But again, that's part of that process. Like, well, one day, they won't just be interesting. They'll be worthy.
Thank you for your
of being
passion,
hired.
but you're not quite up to our skill level yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Like, okay.
It's like,
Okay.
I can tell what you were trying to do here. I
Our
think
people will call your people.
samples are
Okay.
interesting.
That's
Not
the
creative
thing.
or artistic. They were interesting.
That's the one for casting calls. It's like our people will call your people. It's like,
Right.
That's what I liked about showing my stuff to Eric Larson at a con one day. He very politely and directly told me I sucked, and gave me a list of reasons why it sucked. And one of them I might still disagree on, because I was working with a deadline style at the time instead of a live line, and he said that objectively sucked. And there are people that use that style that I like, but aside from that, the one thing that really ticked me off that he was absolutely right about was saying that all the excuses I had for why this page was the way it was, because the client was a jerk and we didn't have a lot of time and they weren't paying a lot of money and blah blah blah. The readers aren't going to hear any of that. I'm not going to be standing over the reader's shoulder making excuses for my work.
Right.
All they're going to see is my work and my name, and that's the kind of work I do, and that's going to determine whether they want to read anything else from me or anybody wants to hire me from that. And it always needs to be the best work I can get done on the deadline. And I went home and fumed over that for weeks and tried to think of all the reasons he was wrong, and all I could do was come up with that he was absolutely right. And I had to make a promise to myself from then on I was never going to put out anything else that was half-baked. It was always going to be the best I could do in the time allotted. And that fundamentally changed me getting jobs. Like the first job from Tony Clapper here in the comments, who is one of the normal hosts of the Fivestar Show and the guy promoting the Fivestar Comic Con coming out June 20th and 21st in Dayton, Ohio. You can get your tickets now, fivestarcomiccon.com.
So on
I got my first gig doing Fivestar with him because I did a little short story for a friend of ours that had Fivestar in it, and I forgot Fivestar's little belt there on the side of his costume. In every panel on 8-page story, I forgot that little belt on every piece of it. And the guy that hired me for the book didn't notice. He showed it to Tony after it was finished, and Tony noticed. And Eric was like, it'll be okay. Tony will get over it. And I was like, no, it was in the references. I missed it. So I went back on all 8 pages and I inked it and I colored it and I fixed all the layers and put that little belt on every image on every panel. And that got me like my next 6 books, just because I went back and fixed it. Because, I mean, it was my mistake. It was an honest mistake, but, I want to make it right. And those 6 books ended up to me having a full-time job. So I'm not knocking it. I'm grateful for that little belt. I talk about
integrity. I know. That little belt went a long way.
Yeah, it did.
I love that. That's really awesome. Let me see. Is there any other questions for you? Let me see. Oh, Kyron, what did it say? Fee, what comment? Oh, J-Man. Let's see. I answered that one quickly. What comic book or character got you interested in this industry? I grew up Marvel. I mean, of course, the things that my dad loved. I mean, of course, our first show and everything where I met Mike to cosplay his character was at Gem City Comic Con. So it's funny, full circle, coming back to the Dayton Convention Center. I love Storm. Of course, the X-Men at that time was just a really great time. I really loved watching that. So Storm, of course, just being the amazing character that she is. She's such a force. She's literally a force of nature. And just seeing that, I think it was really cool. And then meeting Stan Lee when I was really young and him signing my report card saying, storm your way to the top, and saying, I'm glad that we have characters that you look up to. Yeah, I'm pretty content, you know, seeing Stan Lee and him looking at me like a proud grandpa. I was just overjoyed. He adopted me in that moment. Like, he signed my report. I was so scared, but he was just the sweetest thing ever. So I've loved it ever since. And yeah, I've been able to cosplay other people's characters, meet people, and learn more about it. It's been a great opportunity. So it's been cool.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
An awesome story. I haven't heard that one.
Really? I never told you that.
No, well, I mean, also I have brain damage from a heat stroke, so you might have said it and it didn't. My brain didn't hit record. That could have happened. But every once in a while, people tell a story about, yeah, remember the time we did this? I'm like, no. Sure don't. It happens. Let's see. Oh, okay. Little Kyron Silva asks Fee, how many thousands of dollars do I need to pay to cosplay as my character Ruby from Planet Oz?
You have to talk through with Mike with that.
You have to. He's got.
My name Bennett. I ain't in it. You got to talk to Mike about that.
Oh man, I am so looking forward to Fivestar Comic Con. I am really looking forward to it. I'm so excited about the group of people that are there. I'm excited about all the awesome people from indie comics that are coming from all over the country, like Little Kyron Silva coming from California, Danny J. Quick coming from the East Coast, Travis Gibb coming in, Charlie McElvey coming in, all the amazing big-time pros like you that are going to be there, all the Power Rangers and stuff that are going to be there. It's really, really awesome. Are you doing any? You talked about you've got Heroes Con coming up soon that you're doing commissions for. Are you going to take any commissions ahead of time for Fivestar Con?
Probably not, because we're getting really close. You know, maybe shows I have later on in the year, but yeah, my work schedule is pretty much sealed between now and June. I think.
Got you pretty booked up.
Yeah,
pretty booked, basically.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
I get that. That's all right. That's exciting though. But I mean, we thank you, of course, and make sure you get your tickets if you're going to be in Dayton, Ohio. Please, obviously, and if you have a father who you want to take to the show too, because it is going to be Father's Day weekend.
Yes.
Make sure you take them there, have an opportunity, and be able to enjoy and be the main character where you are.
If I can drive from Central Arkansas to be there, you can make it to Dayton, Ohio. I'm telling y'all can make it. So,
that's a guilt trip.
Price of gas right now, I'm really saying something. I'm coming that far. Y'all need to come on out and say hello. Get your tickets now. Come on out. Get something signed. Say howdy. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for a wonderful time chatting about comics. It's been a load of fun talking to you.
My pleasure.
What's the best place for folks to follow you? On Instagram?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Probably the easiest way, yeah.
All right. Everybody go follow him there. Fee, where's the best place for people to find you?
You can find me on all platforms at Feline Soleil.
And
what about where we can find you, Uncle Fishy?
I am Mr. Fish Comics on all the platforms, on the .coms, on the TikToks, and the every which wares, on the YouTubes. And GoMrFish.com will take you where you can still get, there's still late pledges open for a little while longer on the Green Zone trade. If you didn't get in on that already, you can get a copy of that. And so, yeah, I will see y'all there. Thank y'all so much for coming. Be a 5-star version of yourself. All the stuff Tony normally says that I don't pay attention to because I'm listening for my cue to hit the end of the show. I'll see y'all later.
Take care.